This is Cybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Fire Island for game number 1 of the November Ladder Wars Finals Best of 7. It's kind of wild to think that Ladder Wars is still happening, but let's get to our players in the north as the red. This is PiKa. He's playing Allies, and in the south, a fan favorite, but not playing his fan favorite faction as the Yellow Empire. This is Dimon. Dimon has been making the finals recently. He, in the middle of the year, maybe disappeared from a bunch of competitions. I know he played in a couple of the Russian cybersport tournaments. I didn't get the replays from any of those, so I didn't get to see them. Although I'm pretty sure Andri also played in them. Which is kind of funny because that could very well be the finals of a Red 3 tournament, of a Game Replays tournament, and, it happens everywhere sometimes. But anyways, we've got PiKa and Dimon facing off. I feel like we've seen this finals before. It's an AVE matchup that can often run the gamut with some really great standard, normal macro games, and then some really wild, weird, wonky stuff as well. By the way, I want to say a big thanks to the folks who support the channel over on Patreon. Never obligated, always appreciated, especially Oz Media, TheArbiter, and the Bayou Boys, Admiral Akbar 47, Deadly Shadow, and Dmitry K, as well as newcomers Zane D, Brian, Mark, Savaged Regime, Spud, Swordz, and Mediastorm. Infantry coming out from both players, and we'll see how game number 1 of this best of 7 develops, but for the current moment, it's looking pretty standard from both guys. It looks like it was a naval yard pretty quickly, but a sold-off naval yard and the follow-up of an airfield, and that's after the double refinery from PiKa. So neither one of these guys wants to start off game 1 on Fire Island with a weird, risky build. We do have a split of 2 refineries, 2 oil derricks, for each player. Additional power plant coming up, and Vindicator going to be hanging out near this dojo. As you can see, Dimon has paused the build at just the last little bit until he can clear out this Vindicator, and I assume there's an engineer, inside of that Riptide. Nicely handled by PiKa. He's going to get himself both oil derricks for a short time, and then they're probably going to trade oil derricks, but if there's anything that PiKa has to say about it, it is going to be his oil derricks for the duration. If he could kill that engineer, it would be absolutely phenomenal. All of this is delaying the 3rd refinery from Dimon by a good amount. He's actually, wow, he went straight tier 2, and he is going, they're just going to kill the barracks, right? And he is going double tsunami tank with a couple of Imperial Warriors as well. So Dimon might just be happy for these 2 Vindicators to hang out there on the left side of the map while he goes on an all-out assault on PiKa's main base. Is this going to work? Imperial Warriors and, the perfect block of these wall segments, so there will be no extra defense of this airfield. Yeah, drop your bombs, but the Cryocopter does manage to get out that tier 2, finishing just in time. And now where are the Tengus? Where are the anti-air units? That Cryocopter finishing might be the thing that saves PiKa in this game. Imperial Warriors cleaning up, and the Vindicators are going to be able to refuel, now that the airfield is back up and running. I mean, hey, killing an airfield is nice, but one airfield is replaceable, that is recoverable. Both tsunami tanks go down, and Dimon bet a lot on this strategy. He's managed to do a bit of damage, but I really think that was like inches away from being a game-winning maneuver for Dimon. He claims both of the oil derricks, he sells his Conyard, and he is going to do this on 2 refineries, 2 oil derricks. That's not terrible income, that's not terrible economy if you keep the 2 oil derricks, but as soon as you lose those oil derricks, the allied player is on 3 refineries. It becomes not an unwinnable situation, but so much harder. As long as he keeps those 2 oil derricks, and the fact that he killed that Cryocopter is huge. It is rebuildable, but PiKa does not want to be spending 1,800 credits on a Cryocopter in this moment. Gets one Apollo. No, both Apollos do manage to escape. One gets clipped just as it's landing. Another cryocopter may be shut down immediately as it spawns in. PiKa trying to send everything into the sky to stop these Tengus. Javelin soldiers on the ground getting so many shots against these Tengus as well. And the Apollo circles around to the south side. Perfect control at the end there by PiKa to pull anything of value out of that engagement, but 2 cryocopters sniped and shut down. Dimon has just salvaged an almost unwinnable situation into something possible. The fact that this game has almost gone 2 different directions entirely within mere moments of each other. If that airfield goes down before the cryocopter emerges, then basically that attack wins Dimon the game. Maybe the Vindicators managed to pull something out, but Dimon's control is pretty good, and he probably doesn't let that slip. The airfield rebuild and a cryocopter emerging after that would have just been too late. Dimon almost certainly would have done critical damage at that point. Meanwhile, those 2 cryocopters getting sniped have been a total reset on the aggression of PiKa. 1, 2, 3 Apollos get claimed, which means suddenly these cryocopters are undefended once again. Dimon has such a thin army, so few units, and he's so close to not being able to do anything at all in this game, but he's managing to pull something out of nothing. Vindicators don't want to waste their bombs. No, they actually do, and apparently the cryocopters will be able to escape. I assumed if the Vindicators dropped their bombs, the Strikers would transform, but no, the Strikers stay in the sky. And Dimon has also held on to these 2 oil derricks, so this 3rd refinery advantage isn't as harmful as it would otherwise be. Cryocopter gets jumped on, big chunk of health taken out, but with 2 cryocopters out on the field, PiKa is going to be a lot more comfortable taking a bit of damage and not cycling that cryocopter back to the airfield immediately. He might pay for it, but at least it'll be an exchange. 1 Tengu going down, the Apollo trades its life. That might be okay for Dimon. Let's see how he's able to handle these air battles in the future. Javelin Soldier either jumping inside of that Riptide or getting out of here. Vindicators get cleaned up. There's the Javelin Soldier re-emerging to try and help turn the tide against these Apollos. And on the ground, Imperial Warriors crushing forward as the tsunami tanks retreat from the front line, letting the infantry do the brunt of the work. PiKa needing to call in the multi-gunner turrets to try and hold this off, and in the sky, Vindicators and cryocopters trading places with Tengus and Apollos as whoever wins the battle in the sky has the big advantage on the ground. PiKa managing to hold things off in the sky, is trying to escape with that harvester so that these tsunami tanks don't get a guaranteed kill even with that honorable discharge firing off. Imperial Warriors cleaning up what they can on the ground. It may not actually be enough. No, he gets the snipe! He gets the kill on the harvester with the 1 Imperial Warrior that doesn't get frozen by PiKa, and suddenly PiKa's economic advantage slows just a little bit. It's still a better factor than 2 oil derricks having an extra harvester and refinery, but every bit of damage that Dimon can do to that harvester, to that refinery, is a little bit closer to an even playing field. Apollos escape out of there very nicely, and I think PiKa is starting to stabilize. Oil derrick going to be getting sniped. It's unfortunate for Dimon that he can't reclaim that. Yeah, no actual barracks out on the field for Dimon, so he has no way to reclaim this. He'd have to rebuild his MCV, and at that point, you're thousands and thousands of credits behind in the army game, and unlikely to be able to make something happen. Apollos step forward. They clean up 1 Tengu, 2 Tengus. Perfect retreats there by... Well, okay, not perfect retreats by PiKa, but basically perfect engagement by PiKa. He loses 1 Apollo, but gets 3 Tengus for it, and he's starting to reclaim that air superiority. There's the transform of that striker. It now resizes to full-sized, and the Tengus transform. PiKa is on the verge of just cutting Dimon to pieces. Pretty much not perfect control, but cool, calm, collected. That's the name of the game for PiKa. Even in the middle of all this, he claims the Northern Oil Derrick, hurting Dimon even more. And all of these perfect exchanges between the Cryocopters and the Apollos. You can dislike Cryocopters as much as you want, but PiKa was not playing some kind of no-skill allied game there. That was allied precision in a number of ways, but also just adaptation by PiKa. He's not doing some garbage build that people who can't win real games do. That was great adaptation by PiKa, great adjustment, and really safe playing. He knew that with what Dimon was doing, he could just play a little bit defensively, and he made some mistakes that nearly cost him the game, but he came out ahead in that match by controlling Dimon for the last couple of minutes of that game and getting a bigger and bigger advantage every single engagement. That will do it for game number 1. Let's jump into game number 2. And that takes us to Battle Base Beta. Big thanks to Rage of Heat for keeping Ladder Wars alive after all of these years. An absolute legend over there. In the north as the red, this is PiKa. And playing allies. Now in the south as the yellow Empire player, this is Dimon. Dimon can, of course, change things up, switch over to Soviets at a moment's notice, and, maybe a couple of games in, that would be a good way to throw PiKa off just a little bit. Back to Rage of Heat. If you guys are interested in participating in Red Alert 3 tournaments, you can still do it. By the way, if you're watching this before the turn of the new year, there usually is a Christmas tournament, or sometime near Christmas there's a tournament or a series of tournaments where Rage of Heat puts on some events around the holidays, and that's usually a good time. Sometimes some players who haven't really been around for a little while show up to play for it. One building gets cleaned up, the second building gets taken control of by PiKa. And if you want to check out some Red Alert 3 action, participate in some tournaments yourself, there are usually also random prizes, so even if you don't take the number 1 or the number 2 or 3 or 4 spot, whatever the payout is, you usually can collect a prize just for showing up if you win that random draw, which is pretty fun, pretty cool that they do that. Dog going to be blocking this water refinery location. Dimon going for a relatively quick 3 refineries, going to be delaying his Mecha Bay to get this out, and actually just goes for the misplaced refinery. He's got no real way to kill that dog because he went for such a delay on his Mecha Bay that he's really just got his infantry units out around the map, and that is how he is going to hold off the first couple of minutes of this game. Fortunately for Dimon, PiKa is also going for a bit of a fast 3rd refinery, so there's no airfield. It's going to be on the high ground most likely, and, the Harvester gets the kill on that dog, and the Naval Yard is going to get deployed over at that location. It's going to be an awkward spot to defend, but at least Dimon has got 2.5 refineries worth of income. He might actually be moving his MCV to take a 3rd refinery on the high ground, which would then be like 3.5 refineries of income, and something is better than nothing. And in this situation, you can't just say, oh, regame, let's go again, because you got your dog over there. He chose to go for a super delay on the Mecha Bay. He chose to not have any kind of units that can get out onto the water and deal with that dog, and that is something that happens sometimes. He could have gone up to the high ground. He could have delayed this refinery by a while, but he wanted to get that water refinery up as soon as possible, and that is the price that he paid for it. High ground refinery, if it comes out before the Mecha Bay, I will really be worried for Dimon. And this is a no airfield allied player. PiKa goes for the 3rd refinery and the war factory before his airfield. I cannot believe this. But at the same time, Dimon goes for the 4th refinery, 3.5 refinery before the Mecha Bay even gets out a sneaky dojo as well. I mean, I guess you do, just so you have a dojo on the high ground. Imperial Warriors in this building causing some problems for PiKa. And it looks like Riptide is going to head out to the water to potentially cause some problems for Dimon. Oil Derrick finally is going to be going down. Gets cleaned up as Dimon takes that last chunk of change from that Oil Derrick. And Dimon needs to go ahead and start putting the pressure on that. And oh, that's what that clicking was, that beeping sound, as it's an engineer hunting for a spot. And this IFV is going to be threatened by this harvester. And it looks like Dimon is going to be able to keep this engineer away. Even sells off the power plant and bonsai charges that Imperial Warrior right from the get-go to try and stop that engineer from popping out. And it's going to be right at the back of the refinery. Dimon is maybe barely going to lose it. He loses it. PiKa gets the harvester, gets the refinery, and that is so frustrating for Dimon, basically losing 2 refineries worth of income at once, and at the same time, the high ground being cleared up here. His own Imperial Warriors in this building will be shut down, and the power plant, I think, may have even gone down here, but it was replaced by PiKa. And PiKa getting the absolute win, almost worth just selling off this refinery and trying again in a minute, because you need to get your main base refineries back up and running. Dimon sneaks out another refinery, but again, his army is so weak, so minimal in this game. And if Dimon manages to pull anything out of this match, that will be amazing, like truly sensational if Dimon manages to come back from this position. The guy is not dead in the water because he sold everything on the water off, and he is on the high ground, but he is in his grave, and they're shoveling dirt on top of him as we speak. Tankbuster's going to try and hold the line. PiKa goes for the crush, and, well, there's the sell-off of one of the power plants, trying to get as much damage output as he sells off a power plant to fund his army. A single Tengu steps forward onto this army, but it's up against IFVs and a Guardian tank, as this Tengu is just trying to buy time for these tank busters to come in here and clear out this army. Imperial Warriors will clear the building. Guardian tank goes down. One IFV gets eliminated, and PiKa has got... Why does PiKa not have an airfield? I feel like from this position, you don't want to fight as a ground-only allied player. That gives away a big chunk of your faction's personality, is to deny that airfield. So I feel like not going straight for an airfield and not going straight for cryocopters with your tier 2 is a bit of a mistake. We'll see. Dimon able to catch a Guardian tank, a Riptide, maybe even an IFV here with these tank busters. A couple of the tank busters going down, but that's an okay trade if you're Dimon. 2 Guardian tanks do manage to sneak by. A harvester going there down to the low ground needs to just be turned around and sent back up to the high ground so these Guardian tanks don't have to kill another harvester as it gets rebuilt. Tankbuster is going to be trading out against these Guardian tanks. Nicely done there by Dimon. Is going to be able to chase away this allied armor. And Tankbusters are just good units when it comes to clearing the ground with Dimon's control. It's not that they're unstoppable, it's that they're just really cost-effective. Dimon pushes everything back. There's a couple of Tengus going for the harassment. The MCV in this forward position because it was being used as a battering ram, or nearly used as a battering ram earlier this game. All right, harvesters and refineries are nearly back up and running. Dimon has forgotten one of those harvesters there, and it looks like a Tengu got killed out on the water. He starts up the harvester, and so he is going to be back up to that 3 refinery economy relatively quickly. Dimon also blocking this expansion for just a moment. He's going to force some Vindicators to go over there to deal with that Tengu. And the other thing that Dimon should do is kill off that Oil Derrick, but he has just not had a chance to get across to the other side of the map to do something like that. A couple of strikers are here. The IFVs keeping out of range of those tank busters, and the multi-gunner turret is actually going to be the unit of choice or the building of choice, rather, to deal with that Tengu. The Tengu will be able to escape. The Harvester gets shot, and this Cryo Shot is going to try and freeze this other Harvester so this IFV can do even more damage. PiKa pulling Dimon apart, just doing so much damage to control the game here on Battle Base Beta. Fire Island. Very even match until the last couple of minutes where PiKa starts taking control of the game. He didn't give Dimon an inch to take any fights in Dimon's advantage. PiKa made every encounter for the last 2-3 minutes of that first game go in his favor. PiKa almost let things slip as his airfield was a little bit late, and then he got back in control of that game. He shut down those tank busters, was able to avoid them, and just did unbelievable economic damage to Dimon throughout that match. That will do it for game number 2. PiKa looking phenomenal in the November Ladder Wars Finals. And that sends us to Snowplow for game number 3. One of our players looking dominant, looking in control, and it is not this guy in the north, the Yellow Empire, Dimon. And in the south, as the red allies looking phenomenal, this is PiKa. All right, is he going to be able to continue the domination? It's Snowplow. This is widely considered an allied favored map. Doesn't mean other factions can't win on this map, but turret pushes are really strong. Cryo-based play can be really strong, abusing this center ridge. And the fact that this map kind of goes from a 5 attack path map down to a 1 attack path map, I guess ignoring the water because the water often isn't used. But the fact that this map can be reduced down to that center lane so easily is another reason why multi-gunner turrets allied play Cryogeddon is so strong. No one claiming the oil derricks right out of the gate. A little bit slow on those oil derrick captures. We'll see if anyone manages to get them. Looks like Dimon is going to get both of them barely. The bridges getting shot down by these javelin soldiers of PiKa. He's going to be able to collapse the 2 bridges on the right side of the map, and maybe he'll leave the 2 bridges on the left side of the map. Airfield in the forward position, and this is the sort of stuff that allied players love to do on this map. Vindicator comes on out. Nice bomb splitting there by PiKa. Kills one of the Imperial Warriors, does good a chunk of damage to the other Imperial Warrior. And, well, Dimon gets his Mecha Bay up. Wait, what was the... I guess he went up... Why was there such a delay on the Mecha Bay? I actually don't know why that Mecha Bay was so late. I expected to see a 3rd refinery out on the map with how late that Mecha Bay was, but he's just got the 2 oil derricks and the 2 refineries, and I guess that's pretty much it. First Vindicators making some bombing runs with the Apollos, going for the scout around the map. Gonna try and see what is what for Dimon. So PiKa is going to have a good idea of this game, of, you know, what Dimon is doing, of what his situation is. And it looks like PiKa is going to go for the kill of the oil derrick right away. Dimon's still getting some value for that oil derrick, but not a lot. Not as much as he would like. Refinery comes up for Dimon. Up and running for PiKa. A little bit quicker on the 3rd. Imperial Warriors taking a bit of damage away from it. Taking a bit of that chip off of it. And Mecha Bay could be going straight for Tier 2. It looks like he already has Tier 2. But a Naval Yard coming up as well for Dimon. And yeah, could be Striker VXs right out of the gate. Dimon playing a Tengu Light style. PiKa playing a not Cryo Rush style. These 2 guys not playing into the stereotype of what you might expect from Empire and Allied players. 2 Strikers are out. Strikers do good anti-air, but of course it still does take a while to kill off Cryocopters. There's the kill of the Harvester. Unfortunately for Dimon, he didn't get the lucky unfreezing of that harvester where it unfreezes a moment before the bomb's impact, and then you just laugh as you harvest away with a damaged harvester that is still alive. One cryocopter down, but one harvester down on the other side. Two strikers out, and this is where Dimon can start to differentiate himself. Is he going to go for a third striker? Oh, poor Dimon. Immediately frozen. This naval yard is never going to get to see its full potential unless there's a bunch of Tengus suddenly appearing out of this mecha bay, like he's got somehow 5 of them queued up to spawn in all at once. Yep, goodbye. 2 cryocopters, 3 Apollos, and a Vindicator. A group of units that can kill almost anything in the game. Shrink on 2 of the strikers, but there are 4 now out on the map. They are going to be able to grab one of these cryocopters. There's the freeze. The Vindicator might pay the price for it. No, the Vindicator does manage to escape for the current moment. Needs another striker. No, goes for the Tengu instead. Also a good option. They can get cleaned up by the Apollos, but at least they might draw the Apollos into a bit of a firefight with the strikers. Third refinery unharassed, untouched by Dimon. And PiKa also not going super aggressive on the front line. Where do these peacekeepers come from? I guess he had them in that building, and they've just been hanging out, causing some minor problems for Dimon. PiKa looking confident to take 3 games in a row from Dimon. And it's not impossible for Dimon to win 4 games in a row, but, like, if PiKa takes 3 in a row, PiKa's just looking to be in better shape today on the day of these games. PiKa's just looking phenomenal. Dimon is slouching a little. And honestly, Dimon is doing a bunch of stuff that looks really good, but he just is lacking the power to finish these games. And it's kind of like Dimon is getting Dimoned, because you see these games where one player will play okay, they'll be doing fine, but Dimon is just that next level. He's in control, he's handling the other player and kind of abusing them in a way that makes you feel sorry for them. But these 3 games, it almost feels like PiKa is doing that to Dimon. Like, PiKa is the guy in control who is playing the match at his tempo and is forcing Dimon into all of these bad situations. And normally Dimon is the guy just crushing the other player by going for that kind of stuff. He's playing the game in such a way that the other guy just feels like he never has a chance to breathe and form his own strategy to try and do something in the match. 3 strikers going to be jumping on these IFVs. He was going for the bridge literally moments too late, and now the the strikers transforming. The IFVs are going to get 1 kill before the Tengus descend upon them and go for the kill of all of these IFVs. And Dimon is probably, or PiKa rather, is probably fine with that. Dimon getting the kill on the IFVs, but keeping the pressure on the north side of the map as cryocopters come in from the right side of Vindicator as well, causing even more havoc and chaos for Dimon. Even 1 IFV escapes down that last remaining bridge as Dimon seals the 4th bridge, or the 3rd bridge, leaving only the 4th remaining. 2 cryocopters pull back from the front lines, a barracks right on the front line just to, at the very least, cause some annoyance. If Dimon goes on the offensive, he's probably going to have to stop for a moment to kill off that barracks before he keeps going. And, well, Dimon has a decent army. He's got a decent amount of damage output potential, and I think it's going to be coming down to the angles. If one player is able to just shave off units from the other one, these comps could go either way. If Dimon charges right up the front, he has a chance of breaking down PiKa's front door, but the cryocopters, the Apollos, could really change the outcome at a moment's notice. Big Tengu transform with the tank busters, with the strikers, might be able to just break down the front door like a battering ram and crush PiKa without much resistance. But if the Apollos get the drop on the Tengus, If the cryocopters are able to freeze out some of these units, then suddenly the infantry charge gets dealt with very easily, and Dimon is unable to break down that front door. And that is sort of step one for PiKa. He is happy to see that a first wave of the attack get shut down right at this building. Unable to reclaim that building, Dimon waiting even longer for the attack, waiting even longer to go on the offensive. The dog is going to be scouting out this fourth refinery, the sneaky hidden water expansion that Dimon took that PiKa did not. PiKa did go up to the high ground, though, setting up a fourth refinery up there. Tank busters break open the middle of the map, and a single Tengu will be able to deal with the scout out on the water. Ooh, Tengu harass. This is almost the first time I just realized we've seen 3 games, a big chunk of Allied versus Empire action, and yet this is like the first Tengu harvester harassment that we've actually seen take place. Tengus jump on the Vindicator, jump on the Apollo as it drops down to the deck to get those repairs, and this is where Dimon can try to start taking this game back. This is where he can put a point on the board and keep himself from annihilation, keep himself from being executed by PiKa. Big transform. 1 Apollo shows up, 2 Apollos, but it's not going to be enough. Not with the point defense drones on top of these Tengus. IFVs for PiKa get himself 1, maybe 2 more kills as the Tengus escape out to the water. The multi-gunner turret also in the middle of the map, helping out a bit there. But that was a big delay to any further aggression from PiKa. Finally, Dimon taking a bit of control in this game, taking a bit of tempo away from PiKa, and taking control of the high ground, perhaps. Tengu's cycling around. You don't want to leave them in the air against IFVs. They will get eaten up and destroyed. Big Tengu transform, jump on that heroic IFV, go for the kill, but now the cryocopters are here. At least 1 harvester will get shut down. If not much more than that, at least the harvester gets eliminated. If the IFVs go down, they might be able to deal with the Apollos. The Tengu numbers are a little bit dicey. There's 2, maybe 3 Apollos out here, and PiKa decides to disengage. He pulls away for just a moment. There's the transform. Goes for the cryocopter. He's going to be fine with trading a couple of Tengus for that moment in time. He gets the cryocopter kill. He resets that count a little bit from 2 back down to 1. And at the same time, PiKa has not been able to put anything out onto the northern side of the map. Ooh, even getting that power plant, perhaps. Nope, just a bit of damage from a single Tengu. The Riptide able to deal with that Tengu, deal with the Harvester as well. And Dimon flies over to the left side of the map. IFV's giving chase, hoping to eliminate those Tengu numbers. A direct assault down the middle of the map has not been in either player's future. Dimon restarts the Harvester pretty quickly, and, well, that Riptide isn't going to last too much longer. There's the point defense drones being activated on all of those Tengus. Vindicator standing by, ready to bomb out this refinery. Gonna get the Harvester and the refinery. Nicely done there by PiKa. And that's a 25% economic destruction there for Dimon. Loses a quarter of his economy in that moment. Half of his economy, basically, if you count the Riptide attack over here. They were almost perfectly aligned. PiKa getting some real value. Dimon pulls off a couple of Tengus. These Apollos have walked into a trap, perhaps. 1 Apollo gets gunned down. Another Apollo going to turn around as I assume IFVs are rushing to this locale. But there's the big transform, and this high ground expansion is relatively undefended. Well, there is 1 multi-gunner turret, but you can pull, to the south side of the building and just avoid it. Imperial Warriors can clear out that building real quickly, and it looks like PiKa going to have to deal with multi-pronged harass. Tengus coming in from multiple angles as the Javelin Soldier gets cleaned up by the Honorable Discharge, taking down that Javi with that Tengu. Where did this aircraft carrier actually come from? The EMP not locking down that... actually, are these strikers just going to transform and go for the kill? That aircraft carrier is basically undefended. The hydrofoil is a little bit far away, and going for the power plant is a curious choice. PiKa making some mistakes. Is PiKa starting to fall apart? He's still striking out onto the other side of the map, but he has failed to defend against this multi-pronged Tengu harass. He's managed to keep that high ground build radius, and, well, he's going to be able to clean up a couple of these Tengus, perhaps, while keeping the pressure on the other side of the map. But that aircraft carrier was abysmal by PiKa. He got the aircraft carrier, and he did so little with it. Final squadron coming in here, doing a bit of damage to that refinery, to that harvester almost. I think the refinery taking the actual brunt of the damage there. Refinery out on the water gets shut down, but at the same time, the one on the high ground has been reestablished by Dimon. PiKa with the naval yard, getting up to tier 3, but no Athena cannons picking away at this army. I feel like the Athena cannons would be nice to mix in there, but PiKa has been so hesitant about going for the ground army. Ooh, 2 Apollos versus the 4 Tengus. Nice pull there by PiKa. Nice transform by Dimon. And the Apollos show back up. The Tengus are no match. And the Striker's going to be getting cleaned up over the water. If they could just transform, they would be able to start doing their damage. 1 Apollo goes down. I think the total count was 2 Apollos for 3 or 4 Tengus and 2 Strikers. An aircraft carrier is back online, the power plant being the target, but from all the way back here instead of up here where the tank busters can kill it. Power plant will go down, and that might be enough to slow the production of Dimon, send him into that low power mode, increasing his production times and slowing down his army. More tsunami tanks coming on out. Tengus are just going to go for the kill of the drones. That's a nice delay tactic that allows you to buy some time, figure out a way to deal with this aircraft carrier, and stops them from cleaning up your tier 2 mecha bay. Ooh, the Tengus have been spotted. I'm not sure. Oh, it must have been this building over here where PiKa spotted those Tengus. Of course, the Tengus can just transform. He's literally trying to draw those Apollos into the corner of the map. Tsunami tanks gonna try and jump on this aircraft carrier. PiKa stepping forward with a bold plan to assault from a distance, and that EMP a complete whiff. PiKa, again, willing to play this one out as slowly as it takes. He is not aggressive in this game at all, but there's the split of the Tengus. One of them gets cleaned up. Final squadron gets called in on the leftmost refinery there, and PiKa happy to play it slow, happy to play it close to the areas that he can defend relatively easy. I think only 2 of those planes actually making it. Big transform of Tengus on the right side of the map as they swing down to the bottom side, to the PiKa side of the map. And PiKa trying to find more. And did he just... I assume that was going to be a cryo blast on that refinery, but he just wasted his bombs on that building instead of holding them for, I assume, a cryo blast that would have silenced that refinery once again. That was a curious move there by PiKa. Multi-pronged harass causing some problems for PiKa, but it looks like he's going to be taking a 5th refinery soon enough. He's been able to reestablish himself pretty much everywhere. And slow, steady. No flashy moves. EMP catches 4 of those tsunami tanks, but I think they'll be able to escape from relative danger. I guess the aircraft carrier will be able to get the bombing against one of them. Ooh, the second one drives into the bombs. A bit unfortunate for Dimon. If those guys would have been EMP'd for a moment longer, then he would have actually been able to escape the damage from that last aircraft carrier drone. Riptide is going to close or deal with this Harvester, and the Harvester is going to close the distance with the Riptide to try and get as much damage as possible with that honorable discharge. Perfectly done there by Dimon. Obviously, the Riptide is cheaper, but Dimon took a bad situation and made it very slightly better. Not actually solving the situation, of course, but he got as much as he possibly could from that engagement. Aircraft carrier up to single vet. PiKa starting to run further away with this game. Dimon floundering, unable to pull anything out of this match. And, well, he's not underwater, but he is flailing around and hoping someone will rescue him. Proton Collider steps onto the battlefield with a big fiery blast in 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And that is an army-cracking, base-breaking kind of thing. Also, the additional high economic upgrade, is that what it's called? Tsunami Tank step forward, EMP, not going to be able to lock these guys down. He needs something to silence these tsunamis, but out on the water, the Mirage Tanks are basically useless. Shutting down the build radius is a nice touch as well. Don't let him get the cash back on that command hub. And, well, it looks like the multi-gunner turret is also going to be going down. A couple of Tsunami Tanks getting eliminated, but overall, Dimon doing a good job of shutting down that area. Oh, the refinery barely surviving. Dimon on the edge of losing this game, and he's about to lose these strikers. Don't let them go down. Dimon lacks for a moment and does not catch that Apollo. That last rocket slamming into that Apollo. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Literally like 0 HP left on that Apollo. 1 single HP. 1 single hit point remain. The Athena cannons are now out. The Tsunami Tanks are going deep into enemy care territory, and they're just going to hope for the best. They kill 1 power plant, and that's enough to send them into the low power mode. The Tsunami Tanks trying to survive to the other side of the island, perhaps even go for that water expansion, hit the power plant on the south side, just out of range of everything in the Allied arsenal, and they don't actually get it. What is Dimon doing? Is he trying to draw the army out of position? I don't know what this guy is trying to pull. I don't know if it's even going to work either. He's going to get another power plant that's going to send him further into low power mode once again. But what can Dimon do with that situation? Another aircraft carrier steps forward, and this is a perfect moment for Dimon to capitalize on the chaos that he is causing within PiKa's forces. PiKa donates another aircraft carrier away to the Dimon Christmas Fund, as this is a game that Dimon is pulling out of nothing. How is he even finding these angles? PiKa looking like he has everything in the bag, and truly, if PiKa stepped across the map, if he hit Q and A move to the other side, he might very well just be able to crush Dimon without anything to stop him. But Dimon is finding these opportunities, he's finding these places to gain a little bit of momentum. PiKa striking back, the Athena cannon and the Riptide on the other side of the map, finding an opportunity to strike Dimon down. This refinery, just by barely anything, it is surviving. It is still in this game. Tengu's turn around and fight the Apollos. There's so many Tengus. They have point defense drones, and they're going to give themselves up over these IFVs. 2 of them go down in the sky. A third gets eliminated as they transform. 3 minutes, 40 seconds on the Proton Collider as the Cryocopter seeks its target. It'll find 1 Tengu. The rest will escape to the water, and this Riptide out on the water has been removed, has been eliminated, as that Harvester transferring over to that naval expansion, and Dimon is going to find an unprotected area. He's going to go for the command hub as quickly as he possibly can to try and shut down that build radius, deny any multi-gunner turrets, but the truth is any multi-gunner turret could be avoided. 2 Apollos going down. 2 Apollos going down as 1 escapes away from the dreaded firepower of those Striker VXs. Another Riptide out on the water. PiKa becoming relentless in trying to hit the outer edges of Dimon, never willing to go for a direct frontal attack. He's got a ton of Mirage tanks, and if he just went for an all-out attack, he might be able to make something happen. But Dimon is trying to find an angle. There's the sell-off of the refinery. He's not even going to try and keep that around. Might as well get rid of the multi-gunner turret. He might be able to expand out there later. And these 3 Tsunami Tanks, they've taken a couple of bombing runs from the Vindicators, but they're now going to be going for this Harvester, going for that refinery, and trying to escape out onto the water. No, one of them will get caught. Mirage Tank moving down here for the free kill. Vindicator finding the angle, and it might be able to get the double vet Tsunami Tank that's down at half health. There's the Shrink, and the Vindicator will get the guaranteed kill. That is a fully heroic Vindicator for sure. It's all about harass. It's all about working the edges of the map. Never the direct attack, never right down the middle. PiKa trying to go for the safe play. He's trying to play as tight as he can and never let an opening happen. And Dimon has suddenly turned to embrace that, going for only opposite corners of the map. All of the little excuses that PiKa made, you know, dropping this power plant there in an exposed location, not having a very mobile army, not having very much map awareness to be able to see these attacks coming and respond to them quickly. Dimon is exploding every angle that he possibly can. Triple Riptide on the attack path, out on the water. Tengus get pushed away, these Mirage tanks protecting their coast from the Empire Menace. But 1 minute on the clock of the Proton Collider means that this is going to become untenable. Oh, Wave Force Artillery trying to trade out. They get the aircraft carrier. The Wave Force Artillery trade themselves for the aircraft carrier, and if I'm Dimon, I'm okay with that exchange. You killed another aircraft carrier, but only if he could take down that naval yard. He's starting to work away at those multi-gunner turrets, but he loses another water expansion. Dimon unable to defend every angle at the same time and keep up the assault. Something's got to give. This Harvester barely getting out to that water, and it looks like the Strikers are going to go down. A lot of Apollos have been eliminated, and I think there's not a lot of them left over in the middle of the map. Oh, that Wave Force Artillery getting shrunk down and auto-attacking into range of the Athena cannon will be destroyed. Unfortunate move there for Dimon. He got a little lax with that control. Point defense drone saving that Tengu. These other Tengus catch one Apollo, maybe a second, as it returns to base. It skates away, and now PiKa is just looking for the ideal spot for this Proton Collider. He's not going to be able to break that Mecha Bay, but he does break the barracks. He does break the power plant and the refinery as well. The Mecha Bay on thin ice, and that Vindicator gets sniped. Where are your aircraft carriers now? Where is your artillery to get the easy kill? It's gone. Dimon, despite the powerful Proton Collider that was staring him in the face, he managed to hold on with just an inch of life left. If he loses the Mecha Bay, it's possibly just a select all army and walk down the middle of the map, because you can't necessarily rebuild all of this infrastructure. But he kept that Mecha Bay alive. He's still got a tier 3 Mecha Bay out on the field. He's going to possibly lose this refinery out there. I think the Tengus will get there in time. The Apollos are moving to respond, so hopefully it's not Strikers. It is Strikers. The Apollos are going to try and catch the Strikers, but the Tengus get the Apollos first, and the refinery will be saved, albeit barely, by Dimon on Snowplow. This guy is playing the game of his life. Both of these guys just going all out with this match, but never down the middle of the map. Dimon so close to death every second of this game. An agonizing fight for survival. Vindicator gets most of the damage. The Athena cannon gets the kill, gets the glory. Dimon, well, he had a Wave Force Artillery out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that was an easy exploit for PiKa to be able to find something there and do the damage. Dimon is so close to this game just slipping away from him, and PiKa getting up 3 matches in a row. Again, I guess, you know, some players have from that point gotten cocky and lost to a reverse all sweep, but PiKa is gonna close this one out. It feels like it all hinges on this third map, Snowplow, the Allied advantage. Dimon strapped for cash, manages to get out another refinery. Another Apollo goes down. On the retreat, another escapes. Barely still alive. Ooh, chrono shift. And it's going to be the cryo blast on top of these Tengus. A couple of them are going to get caught. No transform. Oh, just not in time. Oh. Dimon tried to do something really phenomenal there. If you stick point defense drones on top of frozen units, it stops them from being insta-killed. IFV steps forward, goes fully heroic. It's a bit of a mess of an engagement here. Dimon trying to just save his Tengu army, and PiKa trying to exploit that moment in time as much as possible. Tank busters will be sacrificed so that the Tengus and the strikers can escape. These guys playing at a higher level than we normally see. Your average game of Red Alert 3 lacks a degree of the mind games, a degree of the finesse, which is a weird thing to say because Red Alert 3 is such a buggy, clunky mess due to its extremely rushed production cycle. And yet still, these guys are taking raw, unfinished, imperfect tools and making something masterful out of them. Command hub gets deployed on the south side. Slightly harder to reach for the air units of Dimon. He might actually have to build a barracks and get an engineer into this mecha bay, because if it is not full health in 1 minute 50, it might be lights out. Dimon doesn't have undepleted ore refineries. 2, maybe 3 of these ore refineries are depleted. Yeah, 3 of these 4 ore refineries are depleted, and Dimon has never been able to touch this one. Too dangerous, too close to allied territory, and unable to claim that from PiKa's grasp. There's the transform. The strikers are going to get the kill on the Apollo. Barely there as it crashes into the ground. PiKa also on those depleted ore nodes, but PiKa has had control of 5 ore nodes for a bit longer, although, seriously, he's only got $6 grand out of that refinery on the water. That, I think he's literally spent more money maintaining that water expansion than he has harvesting from it, because I think this is the 3rd refinery, plus the command hubs, plus the multi-gunner turrets, so that ore node, like, literally hasn't paid for itself, which is kind of a curious thing. The other 4 ore nodes have certainly paid for themselves. Tengu's going to get split off for multi-pronged harass. And it looks like 1 striker is going to be dispatched to deal with this Riptide. 1 Apollo is not going to be dispatched to deal with that. There's the Chrono Rift, or the Chrono Shift, as these Tengus get separated from their buddies. PiKa is here to destroy them. And PiKa, it's a testament to Dimon that PiKa from this position has been unable to close this game out. That Dimon has been able to hold on, because PiKa played just phenomenally Game 1 and Game 2 in total control, just making those games his to own. And Game 3, PiKa has been really close to just running away with this and just embarrassing Dimon. And yet, oh, there's the transform, just not in time. And yet, oh, the Cryogeddon is here. Well, that's the end of that Tier 3 Mecha Bay. Proton Collider crashes in. Dimon, what you see is what you get. The ability for Dimon to come... Oh my gosh, that was cruel. So he times that precision bomber so that it would catch the refinery core as it steps out. I think he was thinking Dimon would jump on the rebuild slightly sooner. That timing was almost cruel from PiKa. So Dimon's options are rebuilding a Mecha Bay, which is just going to be a ton of cash to get it back up to Tier 3 and a couple of minutes of time in game. Or he goes for a Mecha Bay and just tries to pump Tengus and uses Tengus to stabilize. Just mass Tengu. It sort of sucks, but Dimon has been defeated. The GG gets called, and PiKa takes 3 games in a row. What a match that last one was. Snowplow, Allied domination, and in the end, it was Allied domination, but Dimon made that such a close match. PiKa playing it safe, playing it smart, a guy who a couple of years ago we would not have thought as a top contender to play that kind of a long, arduous match against someone on the level of Dimon, and yet here he does it. 2 clean, easy wins, Game 1, Game 2. He kept his cool, and he pulled those games out. Game 3, back and forth all the way. These guys must be feeling the exhaustion after that match, but PiKa persists. He takes the game, and now he just has to close out this series, close out this best of 7. And Game 4 takes us to industrial strength. I love the fact that there's a garage in the middle of this map. How will it factor in? Let us see. This guy in the north, down 0-3. The Yellow Empire, he needs your help more than ever. This is Dimon. And absolutely showing his power, showing his prowess. This is the Red Allies, PiKa. Feeling so good about PiKa in this year, 2021. What a way to go down. Yikes. That was a refinery under my control for just a moment there. Javelin Soldier jumps into the building, gets a good chunk of damage against that barracks. Oh my gosh. Almost kills it. Dimon. He didn't GG out. He didn't rage quit. So that's good. Okay, I mean, it's not like an untenable situation. Double refinery up and running for PiKa. Not actually that far behind the second refinery of Dimon. PiKa gets the northern oil derrick, so he gets the cash back on that one. Dimon sends the engineer down to the southern oil derrick. And, well, the dog is standing by. I think the engineer will be able to jump in there because the Imperial Warriors will rush the dog. 2 Imperial Warriors going to try and keep that dog away. As long as the angles are right, they can get the dog safely. That's a kind of dangerous angle of approach. The bark locks down the engineer, and the Imperial Warriors don't respond. Dimon loses the engineer. And, oh my gosh, this other engineer getting so close. But ultimately, the Vindicator will, I think, have to call off the attack. Dimon goes into a 3rd refinery. This boy does not believe in not giving people heart attacks. What do you even... Escape from Dimon. This is... PiKa is maybe going to... It's not a free win, but PiKa is maybe going to get the closest thing to a free win in this series here in game number 4. Dimon gets a 3rd refinery up, and he gets it up around the same time as the 3rd refinery of PiKa. Of course, PiKa getting an oil derrick and also killing the engineer of Dimon. Dimon starting to put a bit of pressure. It will be dealt with by these Vindicators. Actually, he splits the bomb across 3 Imperial Warriors, so all 3 survive. This other Vindicator is just hanging out up here. I guess you could send a dog or something, but... And the engineer should be able to jump out of that building now, and the dog is going to take over the guard, so now the engineer can't jump out of the building. And, well, at least the barracks get shut down. 3 of these Imperial Warriors should go down very, very quickly. The bomb splitting going to take care of that last fully heroic Imperial Warrior. And, well, that is a tough spot for Dimon. He has got that engineer 1,000 credits and 1,500 credits spent on these oil derrick, and he's starting to claim back some of those losses. 2 strikers right out of the gate. Goodbye to this harvester. There's essentially nothing Dimon can even do about this. You have to give it to Dimon for not rage quitting out of this game. He's down 0-3 in this series, and the fact that he's going to MCV cell, so he's going to try and pull something out of here, but the fact that he has not rage quit is a testament, I guess, to something. Oh, that Imperial Warrior almost gets sniped, and the cryocopters... The dog pulls away from this moment, and he's trying to create some space, I guess. Ooh, the Vindicator goes down. That's a great catch by Dimon. A little bit sloppy, perhaps, by... The dog gets sniped, and Dimon takes the oil derrick. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for one thing going right for Dimon. He's going to start putting a bit of pressure. Tengu gets cleaned up. The Harvester survives for the current moment, and this Harvester might actually just be sent over. I'm not sure why he's not turning it around immediately, but War Factory comes up. He could also just go for the expansion, you know, go for Refinery 4 and 5 nice and quickly. Dimon takes the garage in the middle of the map. I did miss the fact that he went for it. 2 oil derricks and 3 refineries. Just resetting a little bit here, forgetting the advantage that PiKa has in this game. 3 refineries and 2 oil derricks is a really solid economic foundation for Dimon to play from. Tier 2 on the Mecha Bay would be lovely, and he gets it right there. He's well set up. He's got the garage, he's got 3 refineries, he's got a couple of Striker or Defender VX cores just to give him a little bit of static D back home, and then it's going to be all Tengus, all Strikers, and, you know, Chopper VXs and Tengus are a classic combination for a reason. Advanced Rocket Pods upgrade just gets added on to Dimon. So he did forego that for just a couple of moments there, but it wasn't relevant until this moment. Tengus jump on one of the cryocopters. This garage being held on to gives a huge punch to Dimon. Here's the transform of the Tengus on top of all of those Javelin soldiers. 2 of them almost get sniped. The others do jump inside of that Riptide and manage to escape. Dimon is here to play this game out perfectly from this point on. He did not rage quit. He did not leave this game, quote-unquote, prematurely. Honestly, I would not have blamed him if he had rage quit from that point. PiKa played a phenomenal series, and it, you know, from a spectator perspective, there would be no shame in Dimon dropping these 4 games with how PiKa has been playing. And you could understand the mentality, but he has persisted. He's going to try and play this one out. PiKa takes that oil derrick, and I assume refineries 4 and 5 will be swiftly in the future of PiKa. If he just stays on this 3 refinery game, I think that's the place where Dimon can start to get some real value, because Dimon can play Tier 2 Empire in a cost-effective way. Engineer snipe? No. Dimon pulls a little bit too far out to the left side with those Tengus. The Riptide isn't going to try and stay and fight out on the water. He's just going to kind of die on the land. And maybe the angles will allow him to survive for a moment longer, but ultimately the Riptide gets cleaned up. Engineer will grab this garage in the middle, so PiKa takes control of everything from Dimon, and actually I think that's it for Dimon, because he has no dojos. He has no additional engineers. He just has to kill this garage. He cannot let the garage survive. Although PiKa going to be giving away 2 Guardian tanks and a multi-gunner IFV to these Tsunami tanks. They do phenomenal damage when they have their guns in your range. They attack so quickly and do so much damage. There's the breakdown of the garage, and this is the moment where Dimon can start to do something in this game. Without an advantage like a garage or the extra oil derricks, I would really love if Dimon killed the south side oil derrick as well. But at the current moment, 3 refinery versus 3 refinery, Dimon is just good at controlling armies. PiKa, I feel like needs a little extra spice. He, one Apollo goes down there. That garage would have been the extra spice. The dual oil derrick would have been the extra spice. But I feel like he needs to go for some aircraft carriers or something around the side. I don't know that PiKa wants to go straight up into a fight with Dimon, just army v army. If I'm a betting man, I'm placing the bet that Dimon has better army control than PiKa. That's just any day of the week, any given Sunday. Dimon wins the army fights more than PiKa does. Space Cable shows up to witness this moment of Dimon killing that oil derrick, and this is a thick Space Cable. That's a double beefy guy. So that's not your typical Space Cable that just shows up a little single strand. That was there in support of Dimon killing that oil derrick. Love that move by PiKa, the command hub over at the 4th and 5th refinery location. Takes the refineries in the southern seas. And Dimon, oh, wait a second, here we go, Dimon. He has created so much space for himself that he felt comfortable getting an MCV, and we have got a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Reset your minds, wipe clean the slate, because Dimon is looking like he has a chance in this game. PiKa has not shut this one out completely. There is a chance for Dimon here in game number 4, down 0-3 in map score. He has what it takes to stand tall in this match. Now PiKa has the 4th refinery. He has the positioning for aircraft carriers, and that could be where Dimon completely loses this game with nothing to show for it. IFVs take a couple of shots at those buildings. He's just going all out. He just says, I'm going for your base. And, well, this is going to be a bit of an investment out there on the water. Yeah, drop your multi-gunner IF, your multi-gunner turret. Go for it, buddy. What are you even going to do against this many tsunami tanks? Cryocopters are going to be useless against this many Tengus. And, well, Dimon is going to crush this water expansion. He forces the sell-off of the refinery. He's going to shut down both of the command hubs. And a Vindicator will get a kill on a tsunami tank as much as PiKa can shave off individual units safely here and there. A tsunami tank, a Tengu, eliminated without loss is always good for PiKa. A lot of what Allies does has to do with eliminating your opponent's army bit by bit. Using those cryocopters to shrink stuff down, to freeze stuff off, to take down just the edges and the extremities. Ooh, Dimon is actually hoping to catch. I don't know if he was hoping to catch another expansion or he's going to go for a total flank on the side of the map and keep the ground army positioned more towards the middle. Apollo's step forward just for the scout. This is a pretty hefty price to pay for a scout. Fortunately for PiKa, 2 of those Apollos do escape, one of them pretty low on health, down to 25% HP. Tengu step forward. A Tengu tsunami tank army can be a very powerful thing indeed. IFVs step forward. They're going to go toe-to-toe with these tank busters for one reason or another. It's a curious choice by anyone. And tsunami tanks step forward. Tengus are here. They're just here to catch the cryocopters once they're dead. No real worries by those Tengus. Gets both of the cryocopters and skates on out of there. Those Tengus are going to transform and go for the main base. Dimon is just spinning something out of nothing here. That was a phenomenal bait and switch. The cryocopters were the only thing he cared about killing, but he might even get a refinery for his trouble. PiKa pulls a little bit further down to the south, and it looks like another refinery stepping on out of the gate for Dimon. Here's the transform and the escape by these Tengus. No, he stays around to get an extra power plant as well. Dimon, you madman. Push in and out, saw back and forth. These tsunami tanks need to find a better angle where they're a little less vulnerable as they go for the kill on the harvester, and PiKa suddenly is just letting things slip away. This water expansion is completely exposed. Dimon can knock that down while he takes a 4th refinery for himself. He's going to poke back in. He's going to go, even if it's just for the harvester, although he needs to be careful. Yeah, just in time. The Tengus swing back through. He might drop one of them off at that refinery. No, he pulls them all back through the middle of the map. And PiKa chose to not go double airfield, not super pump those air units. And the result is this ground army is being abused. You want to play the ground game? Fine. Get out of your base and do something with it. You don't want to play the ground game, go for double or triple airfield, get some aircraft carriers into the waters, and don't let Dimon control your game, control your army like this. How many thousands of credits are sitting here almost useless of PiKa's army? PiKa's army is just not well equipped to deal with how Dimon is controlling this game. PiKa's certainly not dead in the water. He is certainly not out of this game. But Dimon is showing his stripes. And this is what we feel like what PiKa was doing to Dimon in games number 1 and 2. Is like PiKa was forcing Dimon to play his rules, play his way. Tengu's coming back through the middle of the map. Are they going to stop by? Yep, they're going to go for the Harvester again. It's 4 Apollos looking real smart. 4 Apollos hanging out, doing nothing in the sky. Gee, I hope these Tengus transform and we can shoot something. But for now, the Guardian tanks are going to get on top of the Tengus exactly where the Tengus want them. Trading blow for blow, getting that honorable discharge, utilizing those point defense drones as much as possible. A couple of extra Tengus going down. There's the transform. The Apollo's going to try and give chase. And one Tengu does hang out, just waiting for that transform order, but does get a big chunk of health on that Prospector. 1 Apollo down, 2 Apollos get eliminated. A 3rd and a 4th manage to escape for the current moment. And Tsunami tanks going too far into enemy territory. These cryocopters getting the kill on at least one of them. The other one's getting frozen. And there's no Vindicators. If you don't have a Vindicator, he's going to have a real tough time actually killing those Tsunami tanks off. Naval Yard is here. A Yurii mini-sub, I think, about to emerge. Go for the... Oh, Cryogeddon on top of these Harvesters. Gonna possibly get both of them. But the Riptide goes down first. The Riptide gets eliminated before the Harvesters. And the second Riptide is here to save the day, to seal the deal. And that was an unbelievably cost-effective last Riptide there. Still, those 2 refineries more than paying for themselves in this moment. Dimon already ready. Well, actually, that's a power plant heading out there. But these refineries starting to pay for themselves. I guess they haven't totally paid for that location yet, but they're right on the edge there. And Dimon, PiKa letting that Tsunami tank survive, at least for a little while longer. This series, I feel like, started out, a little lackluster maybe, and then these last 2 games have just been an amazing showcase of AVE from these 2 guys. Imperial Warriors just absolutely rushing that building. Strikers stepping forward. Guardian tanks overextending with no protection from the Strikers. Tsunami tanks going to be shutting down this expansion once again. And it looks like there was a refinery built. That Harvester is from somewhere. Another refinery coming out here. Another docks core as well. PiKa having some real tough times getting some value from the water section of this map. Tengu's heading down to the south. Finally, a Riptide coming out. It's like PiKa took a vow of no Vindicators or something. And while you were down there defending against that, you're going to be losing everything, and PiKa has been defeated. He just calls the GG. He doesn't even fight it out to the end. But that was... Dimon kind of had him from an awkward angle in those moments. Dimon pulling ahead in those last couple of minutes, and PiKa playing phenomenally game 1, 2, and the first 1, 2, 3 in the first half of game 4, but unable to finish it out. And I'm not sure why PiKa is choosing these army comps, but in that game it did not work at all, and that gives Dimon a breath of life to go into game number 5. And we are finally here. On Infinity Isle. You knew we couldn't avoid it. We would have to get here eventually. As the Yellow, as the Empire, barely coming out ahead in that last game, this is Dimon. And needing just one more game to bring this one back and to win November Ladder Wars, this is PiKa. This guy showing us some phenomenal allied control, some phenomenal allied decision-making, and tempo chasing in this game. He is setting the tone, he is setting the pace for these matches. Except that last one. That last one got away from him. But he is also showing why he deserves to be here in these finals, why he deserves a spot against this guy who for the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 years has been generally unbeatable. Not technically unbeatable, but just a guy who wins more than he loses, who wins more events than he loses, and not someone who you ever really expect to not make it to the final. Sure, everyone has bad days, no one is perfect, but Dimon has been a steady, confident hand for the last 2, 3, 4 years in competitive Red Alert 3. Is it going to be a mix-up by PiKa? Well, he's actually going for an airfield relatively quickly here. Wall segments, first wall segments getting deployed here by Dimon. PiKa pushes forward. Nope, doesn't want to get those peacekeepers caught. And onto the high ground goes PiKa. Third refinery going to be up nice and quick by Dimon, but not before the Mecha Bay gets out. Not that he's actually produced a lot with that Mecha Bay. I don't know that he has even a single Tengu out on this map. Vindicators coming in. They could go for the power plant, but they're going to go for the splits on these Imperial Warriors. Cleaning up 3 Imperial Warriors. Nicely done there by PiKa. More wall segments getting deployed by Dimon. Although his Mecha Bay is on the low ground, and oh, he went straight up to Tier 2. That is why he has been happy to drop the walls. He has been happy to exist. He even got the safety dojo on the high ground, but that's why he's been happy to exist with just these infantry forces being his defense. Apollo goes for the scout, and are we beginning to see the wall swag strategy come forth once again? It looks like Dimon is setting up for that. And yep, he is building himself a lovely little network of walls. And this is an interesting variation that Dimon has gone for. Mecha Bay on the low ground and then straight into Tier 2. It's not a Tengu kind of game, but PiKa, who in a normal game, these 2 Apollos would be exactly what you want. He went for a good mix, an intelligent mix of 2 Vindicators, 2 Apollos. That's what you should do. And in this particular case, it's the wrong move. 4 Vindicators would have been the correct play. These Apollos, for the next couple of minutes in this game, are dead weight. 4 Vindicators would have given him so much more damage output, so much more ability to put the pressure on Dimon. But because he went for the normally smart thing, the 99 times out of 100 correct choice, it's the wrong option in this one game. And Dimon has less to worry about right now because of that. Is this a la Edvin? Or perhaps even XYHC? Dimon pulling a play from the book of mid-level guys. He is going for a bit of a hidden naval yard. Now, if it was truly the hidden naval yard, it would be like off in one of these corners, like really far away. This is the I still want stuff to be competitive naval yard. Trade an Apollo for a Tengu. Do that every single day. Always happy with that choice. Javelin soldiers as well. 3 of them going down. Yes, please. All day long. Oh, catch a Vindicator. Thank you. It is Christmas, truly. I feel the spirit in my heart. What is PiKa doing? No, really, in this game, these last 2-3 minutes have been disastrous. Did he just lose all confidence? Dimon just dropped an elbow straight into this guy's skull in the last 2 minutes of this game. Literally every little thing has come up completely Dimon. Vindicator is bombing this con yard, I guess. Like, if it's really a problem, just go for the engineer. IFVs jumping, or Tengus jumping on these IFVs. A couple of wall segments get sold off. The Tengus escape. Is this Vindicator? Okay. He doesn't go deep into enemy territory, so he does escape. Another naval yard. The first one gets shut down, but the second naval yard will be deployed possibly in a different location, possibly backwards over here. Tengus transform, strikers as well, and PiKa has taken a really broad brush and painted the entire right half of the island red. But, I mean, he is taking some life out of that Conyard. I mean, if nothing else, he's got that going for him. All right. PiKa is here. We've got tier 2. No cryocopters, though, it seems. There must be one about to finish up. Riptide on the south side, 2 of them actually. Yurii minisub can deal with 1, okay. A second Yurii minisub would be nice to deal with these Riptides, although it looks like the Tengus are going to be sent down to deal with those Riptides. Now, this does mean the walls are going to have to hold a little bit longer against... Oh, actually, no, the Strikers are going to be sent to deal with them. Where are the Apollos? 3 Apollos are here. The Tengus are here to catch the Apollos, and that is a complete turnaround by PiKa. It's kind of forced these... Oh, you don't want to be near the land. The Apollos do jump on one of the Strikers, but there's the Tengus for the defense. The Strikers all survive. One Apollo goes down, and the Tengus push deep into enemy territory, go for the transform, and jump on the IFVs. The Apollos do not return, so the Strikers survive, and now they're over land. Go for the transform and clear the skies. One IFV still left on the ground as this army gets pulled apart, pushed into the grave, and Dimon is going to take this game on Infinity Isle. It is his, under his control, but it is not in the bag yet. One Apollo steps forward. One Apollo almost gets burned down. Oh, the IFV does catch that Striker as it heads back, tries to escape. 4 refineries for Dimon, 3 refineries and an oil derrick for PiKa. Dimon just catching that entire ground army almost entirely. Like 2 units escaped. And from this point forward, PiKa needs to play a pretty flawless game for the rest of the time on Infinity Isle, and Dimon needs to make some mistakes. But if he loses this game, PiKa will still be at match point. He will still be ready to take this series. Vindicator gets some bomb droppage. Tengus push forward, trying to clean up the infantry component of this force. Tengus step forward, absorb a couple of shots, and, well, these Guardian tanks are going to get eaten up by those tank busters if the tank busters can close the distance. Dimon takes the observation post for himself. Javelin Soldier steps back, nearly dies, but manages to survive. 5 Apollos. So there are 2 airfields finally out on the field for PiKa. 2 cryocopters as well. Yurii minisub on the south side providing a nice little bit of vision. Not like some genius level scouting move, but just a little bit of extra vision there for Dimon. I love the laser lock of the observation tower. It'll take a really long time to kill it, even with 3 Javelin Soldiers, and so much so that Dimon is literally going to defend it. It does give you so much vision of the center of the map. Tengus transform. The Apollo's going to escape, but the Tengus will similarly also escape the presence of those 6 Apollos. Tank Busters getting shut down. Peacekeeper inside of that IFV would do a really nice job of killing that off. And Dimon is going to look to take refinery number 5. PiKa finding some momentum in the last minute or so of this game. Dimon will lose control of the observation post in the middle. And just to give you guys an idea, so that is how much vision that observation post gives you. That is why people do like to go for it, and why they will trade it several times. The real question is, you know, why you trade it instead of just destroying it. It seems like destroying it is the easier option. Obviously, you want it for yourself, but rather than just sort of endlessly trade it back and forth, why not just kill it? Gets both the Harvester and the Refinery, goes up to fully heroic status. Nicely done there by PiKa. Shutting down that Refinery, gets vision of the what would have been the 5th Refinery coming up for Dimon. Ooh, those Apollos turning back around. This is a lot of Tengus. They've got point defense drones as well. They're engaging over the IFVs, over the Javelin soldiers, but it is not enough. Here's the big transform as they're going to jump on the IFVs and just go for the honorable discharge on them. The Vindicator will clean up one as they run away. Which one will it be? Did he actually bomb split there to try and get more? Yes, he did. He got 2 Tengus for that. Another Tengu gets split off to the right side. It's going to get crushed by this Harvester, but at the least he does a bit of damage to that Harvester. Not actually sure why that... what died out there on the water. Tengus turn back around. They're going to be able to jump on one Apollo, trading out even numbers perhaps. No, more Tengus do go down. Dimon starting to slip. He doesn't need a lot of space. He's been able to pull out some really phenomenal army positioning moves, and PiKa is not really in a position where he can just walk across the map and kill the other guy. Sometimes you get into a situation where all the finesse and all of the strategy or tactical advantage in the world doesn't really matter because you've just got such an army that even if you lose all of your infrastructure, you can just walk across the map and kill the other guy. And PiKa is not in a total survival mode, but he's not in a place where if he loses stuff, he just goes, well, I'm going to Q a move to the other side of the map and hope it works. Because if he Q a moves, he's just going to get torn apart by Dimon. Dimon, on the other hand, if he Q a moves, there's like a chance it will work out for him. Not a good chance, but he's got enough units that he could potentially pull something out. Low power for just a moment. PiKa, once again, just focusing on the defensive play. He's got the 3 refineries under his control. He's got the oil derrick as well. And he is not very interested in stepping outside of that place, outside of that position. Dimon almost feels like he's trying to bait that heroic Vindicator forward. He's like, hey, come kill my engineer. And then, of course, a huge cloud of Tengus swoop in. And they're like, yes, come kill the engineer. Definitely, that's a good idea. Riptide going to get hunted down by this Yurii minisub, and if the Riptide doesn't actually use the torpedoes, then the Yurii minisub wins that fight. And of course, the Yurii minisub can suicide onto the Riptide and get the kill that way. The path that those torpedoes take sometimes is kind of funny. And Dimon is actually going to go for the self-kill, which is interesting. He captures the observation post, and then he just says, no, it's not worth it, and he goes for the kill on the observation post anyways. PiKa trying to, once again, find some damage around the edges of the map, never right down the middle, and actually, now he's going right up the middle, and he's going right for the Tengus. The Strikers are here as well, but the Tengus are the easier target to hit. We did see a nanotech mainframe sneak out from Dimon, so he is going to look to go up to Tier 3. He is going to potentially look to put Shogun battleships out onto the field, and maybe even Wave Force artillery as well. But Dimon is tired of doing the runaround in this game. It looks like he wants something a little beefier to be able to cut through the middle of the map and strike down PiKa. PiKa finally taking his water expansion out here. It's starting to pay for itself. Riptide still working away at this refinery. Dimon has gotten a bit of value, but not actually enough for it to be worth it. Strikers doing a bit of damage. 2 Apollos, it looks like, going down. I don't know, maybe a single Striker VX, maybe a single Defender VX or 2 would be a really good idea somewhere in the middle here. We haven't seen any Athena cannons. We haven't seen any aircraft carriers. We do have Tier 3 pretty much on both sides. Dimon may not quite be there yet. No, he is. And yeah, he's gone Tier 3 out here as well. So I think he's going to get a couple of Yuries and then go for it. Yeah, this Yari mini-sub is a fresh one. The other guy was, I think, single vet. 2 Riptides heading out to the south side of the map. And these Apollos, I mean, if they get the right angle, they will shred the Tengus. 6 Apollos do phenomenally well against a huge number of Tengus. But, yeah, well, this Riptide could be suicided by that Yari. But the Tengus are going to go for the transform, go for the kill there, and they're going to protect their Shogun battleship. And this is where Dimon finally has a piece on the board that can end the game for him. High ground refinery may be taken out. It's provided a huge amount of value, but if PiKa loses the high ground, his chances of taking this game slim down considerably. Dimon has his own things to worry about. Let's see how the cryocopters and let's see how the Tengus do against these 2 long-range artillery pieces for each player. And there is a Defender VX core there. What do you know? Another Riptide comes on out. Cryocopters going for the shrink of this Shogun battleship, going for the freeze as well. Where's the Vindicator? Looks like the Apollos are going to come in here trying to catch the Tengus. There's the big transform, though. The Cryocopters possibly going down, possibly escaping away. And it looks like those Cryocopters are maybe down in the watery depths of the ocean. Riptide comes back out to the water. No, it's a Vindicator getting the double kill, getting the kill on that Tier 3 naval yard. And even it nearly escapes, but it goes down to that Defender VX core. The refinery on the high ground about to be eliminated as well. And Dimon might just have to go for it. The Apollo's getting pushed away. The Athena cannon trying to trade blows with the Shogun battleship, but it gets cleaned up. The IFV is going to try and just fire down onto the low ground. The oil derrick still survives, and the naval yard from our allied player does remain, even if the aircraft carrier does not. Assault destroyers do a good chunk of damage versus just shrunk down Shogun battleships. I don't know what that weird sound effect was. It might have been the ramming speed activating? I'm not 100% sure. Riptides are here. Tengus ready to transform if they are needed. Might even be worth it to transform some of the Tengus and then keep the rest of them in the sky. If he had a couple more Sea Wings, this defense would be a little more tenable for Dimon. There's actually going to be the ramming speed activating just fast enough to kill that Riptide. Apollos forcing the transform of all of those Tengus. And Dimon almost running away with this game out on the water, but PiKa's defense is too good. PiKa pulls the Apollos back, the Cryocopters giving a little bit of chase, and the Riptides trying to force these Shoguns away from an aggressive position. Defender VX core is there. The refinery has been reestablished, but the naval yard is going to be set up in the northern section of the map. Another aircraft carrier is out on the field for PiKa. He's going to strike down this refinery once again. He's going to go for the kill. Tank busters on the front line. Balloon bombs getting called in. One of these airfields may be eliminated. The Tengus going for the kill. No, the Striker's going for the kill, and the Apollo's cleaning up the Striker. The balloon bombs nearly take down the airfield, but it does survive at least for now. Wave Force artillery starting to punch down the front door, trying to open it up plank by plank. A little shot here, a little shot there. Apollo's step forward. One Tengu goes down. PiKa shaving off as much as he can. And a couple of more Tengus going to be going down. Cryogeddon fires off, splitting this infantry army, but most of them are relatively safe against the javelin soldiers of PiKa. The rest of them trying to close the distance with these Mirage tanks. A couple of the Mirages going down. The Tengus doing damage to Dimon's own army. The Shogun battleships from the low ground trying to shut down this high ground expansion. Cryocopters step forward. The assault grinds to a halt. And it looks like Dimon is gathering a fresh force of Yurii mini-subs up in the northern section of the map. The Shogun battleship's putting out more and more DPS. They've finally taken the high ground. He's finally pushed PiKa back. But for how long? The Cryocopters step forward. The Tengus are still on the ground, I think, as the Strikers transform to deal with the Apollos. 2 Shogun battleships, 2 Cryocopters, a match made in heaven if you're the allied player. And the Tengus, I think, just transform to get out over the water to kill these Cryocopters. And the Cryocopters are not going to be safe. It might even be worth sacrificing a couple of Tengus if you get the kill on the Cryocopters. There's the transform. Still no Sea Wings. Yurii mini-subs shutting down this naval yard. There will not be another aircraft carrier. That gets eliminated. That gets denied. The Apollos standing by, out of range of almost everything in the Allied Armada. Those Shogun battleships are safe for the current moment. Shrunken down, their reduced range makes them ineffective. Apollos fly over the anti-air base defense of Dimon, and one Apollo doesn't actually go down. That guy's so close to death, but barely able to escape. An Athena cannon perhaps closing in. No, the Athena cannon is there on the ramp. Yurii minisub trades against the Riptide. These Yurii minisubs have done their job. The water expansion getting shut down, the naval yard getting shut down, limiting the options for PiKa to try and make a comeback in this game. Dimon is on the cusp of taking 2 games in a row, but he's not free and clear just yet. He really needs to seal this game up, but no, that Shogun battleship goes down. This other one is getting dangerously low on health. Balloon bombs get called in to finish off that refinery, and the Yurii minisubs scare away those Riptides. Down to the depths go the Yuries, safely escaping that Athena cannon blast. Sells off the naval yard up top as well. Gets a little bit of cash back for that. Ooh, sells off his 3rd airfield. PiKa maybe doesn't quite have the air force to go with that. PiKa floundering a little bit in this particular game. All of the stuff he's tried has just been a little bit slower than Dimon. He's had some of the right ideas, but he has just not been able to get the momentum that he was hoping for. Ooh, and that's a terrible time for those point defense drones to expire. Dimon turns south. Maybe a big transform. Yurii minisubs trying to hold off these Riptides. A couple of Tengus mixed in as well. Going for the power plants. Trying to shut down any static D. Precision Bomber goes for a big miss, but it buys just enough time for the tanks to get here. The response, the defense is good enough from PiKa, and it looks like this Yurii minisub is outclassed. That Riptide barely able to survive, and these couple of Tengus might just need to suicide themselves. If the Cryocopter gets them, then they are out of luck. Cryocopters changing targets. Riptide trying desperately to blast through everything. PiKa's control, phenomenal, gets him the win in the Southern Sea. And he will escape from this moment with a 1/4 health Riptide growing a bit stronger every moment. Tengus turning to strike the Apollos. Getting a little close to that Defender core. The Apollos not able to be taken out. Shogun battleship barely surviving the last engagement. Strikes down an IFV. Is this going to be a Cryogeddon? No, the Apollos once again escape. They're trying to bait those Tengus into the IFVs. Meanwhile, the refinery gets taken out, and even a couple of tank busters called in via the surprise to be spawned in there. 2 Apollos get caught. Does Dimon go for the transform? It might leave his Shogun vulnerable to Cryocopters. Oh, if he gets... Oh, what are these Cryocopters doing? Way too far forward. That was a risky move. It wasn't punished, but that was a risky move by PiKa. He nearly lost the game right in that moment. The Tengus step forward. If they can deal with the Apollos, they can suicide on the Cryocopter. Who cares about the IFVs at that point? If you get the Apollos, you get the Cryocopter. But PiKa has been defeated. He calls the GG, and Dimon takes game number 5. Infinity Isle and Snowplow going to Dimon. No, Infinity Isle and Industrial Strength going to Dimon, and PiKa faltering. 3 games up, but now the score is 3-2. He just needs to eke out one more win, and will it come in game number 6? That takes us to the island paradise of Cabana Republic. On the left side of the map as the Yellow Empire. This is Dimon. He is looking to even the score up. Meanwhile, this guy on the left side, so close to victory, but getting outclassed in these last 2 maps. This is PiKa. PiKa feeling dominant in Game 1 and Game 2. He was able to take an even match and take control of it in a way that Dimon looked a little bit foolish. He didn't look like his typical Dimon self. Game 3, much more of a toss-up, much more of a back-and-forth close match, but PiKa takes it anyways. And then Game 4, things start to change. Maybe they really started to turn around in Game 3 for Dimon, but Game 4 is where he claims his first victory and then rolls that into another hard-fought match. It's a fast Cryocopter. PiKa wants one win. He doesn't care how he gets it. A build he has been avoiding, but he is going to go for it. If this is a turret push component as well, then we know that it is just maximum allies cheese to go for the fastest win possible. This crushes Empire and Soviet players. Heck, it crushes other Allied players 7 days a week. I think that was the second Cryocopter with the shrink down of the MCV. No, he sells the MCV. Oh! What build is this? What? Don't... What? But you need the MCV for the second airfield over here so that you get the faster refuel, and you also need the multi-gunner turrets to be able to break down your opponent's guy and not have to fly back across the map every single time. What is this build? What is... This isn't a build. This isn't something you do. Naval Yard is going to get frozen down. It is no Mecha Bay. It's only Defender Cores from Dimon. Oh, what? Oh my gosh, he's choking. He just dropped bombs on nothing. He dropped bombs on an Imperial docks moments before it got frozen. What is happening here? He has another Vindicator coming out. It's going to be there in about an hour. It could have been dead. This Naval Yard could have been completely eliminated, and these Cryocopters could have moved on to freezing something else, to trying to freeze literally anything else. I don't even care. A Harvester, try and freeze the MCV. It'll take a long time, but try and do it anyways. One Harvester on the other side of the map. No ability to rebuild an MCV. This Engineer crossing the map as slowly as possible. The Naval Yard does get shut down, so we won't have anything out on the water. But there is just an infinite nest of Defender VX cores, and Dimon in the back of his head is thinking, where's the MCV? Where's the turret push that comes along with this build? PiKa cleans up a tank buster, but his economy is shot. He's got literally nothing going on. He's going to try and walk an Engineer into just like a network of Static D and Imperial Warriors. Good luck, buddy. You're going to try something. Go for it. This Harvester comes over from somewhere. Oh, he trades out Harvester. He's rotating Harvesters back and forth, so he sends the high-health Harvester over to get the... Oh, no, he got the Shrink before the Crush. He went for the Shrink after the Crush so that the Harvester could get back here and actually start harvesting again, but he didn't actually get the Crush. All right, the Mecha Bay is out. The first Tengu is going to emerge, and... I am lost. Look, I am not a good player. I've watched a lot of games, though, and I've played a lot of games at a very low skill level. I don't think this is a real build. I think PiKa is either improving, and he's terrible at it, or he just choked, and he accidentally sold his MCV, or he wasn't thinking clearly, and he thought, yeah, I sell my MCV at this point, but he didn't think it through. Dimon doesn't need to, like, win the game. Dimon just needs to survive a little bit. Never mind. He doesn't even have to survive a little bit. He just had to live for like 5 minutes. Wow! Okay. That... Oh, 5 minutes 30. That's not how that game goes. And PiKa has now taken us to match point. His attempt at the quick win, at the guaranteed kill, at the build that's so hard to stop. If you're an allied player up your sleeve, you're always thinking, I can cryo rush and turret push. It's not a free win, but it's close to a free win. And Cabana Republic is a good map to do it on. That will do it for this game. It sends us into game number 7 to Temple Prime. The ace match, where the rubber meets the road. This stone temple will witness what happens between this guy playing the Yellow Empire on the left, sticking it out for every single game, not switching at all. It's Dimon. And this guy, the almost all kill, but now it's the ace match. Plain red, plain allies. This is PiKa. Showing us some phenomenal allies versus Empire. But these guys are human. They aren't perfect. Dimon proved it in games 1 and 2. PiKa proved it in the last match. What a series this has been. If you're an Allied versus Empire fan, this has given you just about everything you could have asked for. Dimon is a hard guy to kill, but PiKa can do it. From an 0-3, Dimon has carved out a match point for himself. PiKa grabs the southern oil derrick. Dimon will capture the northern. No fast airfield for the kill of those engineers. Naval Yard is going to be the choice right out of the gate for PiKa. Exposed power plant, always have to highlight that. Dimon is a guy who does sometimes like to exploit the position of the classic Allied power plant. Scout comes in from PiKa. He's going to get a view of Dimon's base and see, hey, everything looks pretty normal, everything looks pretty standard. Nothing too strange to worry about. Dimon going for a bit of scout. He'll see one Riptide. He'll see a second Riptide, so he knows what's up. He doesn't realize the Naval Yard has been sold off necessarily, but he sees the airfield and he can put 2 and 2 together. It is not an uncommon thing for an Allied player to get a couple of Riptides early on and then sell off that Naval Yard. It all comes down to this one match. Tank Busters hopping inside of that Civ structure. They may actually be able to jump on this Riptide and, well, no, it's just one Tank Buster. If it was 2 or 3, 3, I think, kill the Riptide, not completely, but almost every time. Javelin soldiers jump into the building. It is straight to Tier 2. The first Tsunami tank is already up, and the walls will hold the line for Dimon. Just going to be fighting it out between those two buildings. Last Javelin soldier will get crushed. Dimon cleans up the Riptide. The other Riptide has to take the long way around as the tank busters in the southern section of the map held it off. Couple of wall segments going down. Dimon could go for the Striker to lead the charge. No, the Apollo is here. Never mind. So I think he's just going to have to cycle out the... Ooh, that was a mistake. Dimon loses the striker for no reason, and an Imperial Warrior is going to clear one Javelin Soldier out of that building. And Dimon doesn't want to go for the cycle of the Tsunami Tanks. You can lead in with the Tsunami Tanks and then send one of them into the Nano Deflector mode while the other one tries to deal with the building, but Dimon didn't want to futz around with any of that. He just clears it with the Imperial Warriors. It takes longer, but he does get there eventually, and the Harvester stays safe. The refinery is at half health, so that isn't the end of the world. Didn't sell off that dojo. Doesn't take... Ooh, that's a dangerous refinery. Worth an engineer, probably. Couple of Vindicator bombing runs. Ooh, Cryocopter steps out onto the map. PiKa starting to assert his allied dominance on this game. The engineer is going to maybe barely sneak inside of that refinery. And there's the sell-off of that dojo, and Dimon, again, playing a very Tengu-light style. This is not a Tengu spammer. He is not in the vein of classic Empire players of bygone days. He is a different breed. At least in this series, we've seen him build an unbelievable amount of Tengus, but they're always mid to late game Gus. They're not early game Tengus. So most Empire players lean on the Tengu so much that they build their crutch straight out of its parts. It is their hammer. It is their main battle tank. That was just a little bird that just sounded off. Such a weird sound effect that I don't remember ever hearing. Someone cleans up that oil derrick. I'm going to guess it was Dimon. He didn't want to capture it. Engineer steps out, and I guess the engineer will head to the northern oil derrick. Hope he doesn't get sniped along the way. Tengus head back to the middle of the map. Strikers are waiting, standing by. Imperial Warrior gets sniped. And single Peacekeeper. Okay, that is a real Peacekeeper. It's not like a spy or something. Apollos escape. Tengus are going to transform and kill the engineer. There's that snipe of that engineer. And two Tsunami Tanks trying to sneak in, but this Harvester might just go for the crush of the Tsunami Tanks. Ah, don't go in there! Whoa, my gosh, that was almost a terrible situation. They can survive the Vindicators, and the Vindicator gets jumped on the Cryocopters as well. The Strikers are hereby, and there are a couple of IFVs also, but they're going to clear out the skies before trying to deal with the Strikers on the ground. Another Vindicator going down. The Cryocopters getting pushed away. The Tengus giving chase, trying to close the distance. They get the kill finally. Meanwhile, the Tsunami Tanks on top of the airfield. Dimon is bringing the fight to PiKa here in game number 7. The Tengus going to split off and harass two refineries at once. Turning their backs on that airfield, they go for the Guardian Tanks. They got split up by the geography of the map. The Cryocopter immediately assaulted by those Strikers, unable to secure the kill on these Tsunami Tanks. And the attack falls apart before it finishes PiKa off. But actually, the shrink down of that Tsunami Tank nearly helps it to escape. Strikers turn back around. They grab one IFV. The other IFVs might be able to clear this guy. It's 3 and 3. They don't care. They go right for the Guardian Tanks. They're just trying to clear out the ground as this turns into a chaotic mess. An absolute mesh of disaster for both players. A web of lies upon which they have built themselves. And IFVs aren't going to stop these Imperial Warriors if they get the kill on that Moore factory. The Guardian Tank steps out just barely in time. The IFVs, no match for the mighty Tengu on the ground. In the sky, the IFV wins every day of the week. But on the ground, the Tengu actually has a chance. The war factory being reset, the economy being thrown into shambles, as there are refineries but no working harvesters hardly anywhere for PiKa. Even the Vindicator goes down. He trades out one, maybe two Tengus for it, but he's going to be all right with that kind of an engagement. A Riptide here in the south waiting for a refinery to deploy. But Dimon has his MCV on the high ground, just packed up and ready to move, ready to go. 4 Imperial Warriors just doing what they can to break down this refinery. They're actually getting a chunk of health from it, and a Peacekeeper falls as he tries to go for the kill of that frozen down Harvester. The Riptide will try and put the pain on Dimon's economy. That extra oil derrick just adding insult to injury as PiKa is unable to get his 3 refineries back into working order quickly. At the same time, 3 refineries, and as one goes back to work, another one goes off the line, as Dimon will not be satisfied until PiKa's economy flatlines, and it looks like it's about to do it. He's running out of cash. He's got almost no production facilities, an airfield that hasn't been buying him much victory in every one of these games. PiKa's victory has come at least equal parts on the ground. He is not an air-based allied player. He is not an allied player that wins with cryocopters only. He needs a ground-based component to his forces, and Dimon has taken that away from him. PiKa perhaps choking. His options are limited. They are disappearing every moment that goes on. Dimon closer to victory. PiKa with a harder road to drive to try and get out of this situation. Tsunami Tank's going to cycle away. Guardian Tank finally using its laser painter to do that extra bit of damage, and no, it's the Imperial Warriors again. I thought it was Tengu's harassing in the north, but it's Imperial Warriors inside of the building. These unstoppable Imperial Warriors, for some reason, they're supposed to be basic units that do nothing. And yet Dimon finds value after value. He finds momentum to keep building as another Tengu kills another Vindicator for what seems like the 100th time in this game. The Riptide pulls back to the right side of the map. Dimon hasn't won yet, but every moment that goes on, it feels like Dimon gets closer to winning, and PiKa gets further away. The Apollos and the IFVs jumping on these Tengus, 2-3 of them going down as the Cryoblast fires off. The Tengus trying desperately to circle around, and this airfield is going to get targeted down. No more production facilities for PiKa. His economy just falling to pieces. His MCV, his only hope, his bastion of strength left over, but his Harvester's now under threat as the last Guardian Tank gets targeted down. The IFV falls in this one heroic Guardian Tank against a heroic Tsunami Tank, but it is no match for the 2v1. The Tengu's killing Harvesters, and Dimon has done it. Victory is within his grasp, and PiKa seems unable to answer, unable to stop him. The GG gets called, and Dimon is your November Ladder Wars victor. He claims the best of 7 with a reverse all-kill, 4 games in a row. One of them handed to him on Cabana Republic. But check out that economy starting to boom, starting to explode for PiKa. And then it starts flatlining as Dimon does not let him get an inch in that game. Dimon takes Temple Prime, and Dimon takes the series. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that series. What a phenomenal set of games from these guys. And this is Cybert, signing out.